At the KSMO studios, right here on your hometown radio station, KSMO AM 1340, FM 95.7, and streaming at KSMOradio.com, KSMO Stream Facebook, and KSMO YouTube. We have Jeff Stokes in. We're going to be talking a little bit about prop fire. This is a Denton County Fire Protection District bond issue. And before we get talking to Jeff, we do want to remind everybody out there, this is a paid political interview. So it is a timed interview, and so we'll get the clock started now. First off, good to have you along, big guy.
Good morning, Stan. Thanks for having me on.
It was an interesting weekend, wasn't it? So before I get into the interview, I want to talk to you a little bit about just the work the fire district had to do last Friday.
Sure. So they got called out for, it was originally a controlled burn. And, with 50-mile-an-hour winds, they get out there, and it had quickly spread. They've been actually back out there a couple of times since then. Up to about 750 acres is what. They lost crazy. A couple homes, 4 to 5 vehicles, a couple outbuildings. And of course, we had those equipment problems too. Mm-hmm. We only had one brush truck in the district at the time that was actually working because they've been running 2-3 fires a day. And it broke down while they were on that big fire. And then we had our command unit out there that broke down too. So 2 trucks went down about the same time. And
plus, everything is burning. You've got winds. You've got electric lines that are being damaged, and they're falling, and that's adding to the problem, you know. So it wasn't just like one little thing. It just complicated itself. It just exponentially just took off, right?
Oh, yeah, and if we didn't have that rain that we did that night, shoot, the guys would probably still be out there.
Yeah, well, we were very fortunate. God bless us with the rain and not anything worse than that, right? Yeah. All right. So anyway, we want to tell a little bit about what happened last Friday so people get a little bit better. So I'm sure they've heard all kinds of stories, and social media tells everything, not really accurately, but they do tell everything.
Right.
But we wanted to get that out there before we start talking a little bit about prop fire. So thank you again for updating us on that. I know you were an integral part of that out there, helping out, moving some vehicles around, getting them water. You can't do enough for those guys when they're out there. And I know you feel like you need to do more, but there's only so much you can do without getting in the way.
Right. And there's, the fire department is facing a big manpower shortage. It's hard to get people to volunteer anymore. Mm-hmm. And that's just a problem that's universal. That's not just unique to us. That's everybody, it seems like.
But even if you get volunteers, just because it's a fire during the day, they may have a job.
Right.
They can't get away from that job to go help. And as soon as, obviously, they can, they will. Mm-hmm. But, again, that becomes a bit of an issue when you can only get maybe 8 or 9 firefighters to, you have 25.
Exactly. Yeah, and a lot of those guys, they spent their weekend off, too, just trying to get that equipment that we do have back in service. Right. So
dedicated. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started with talking a little bit about prop fire. So here we go. Well, first off, Jeff, thank you for coming in, and we want to thank the Denton County Fire Protection District Board for looking into the future, but also looking at right now. We have some issues right now. First thing off, prop fire, it is not a tax. This is a bond issue.
Right. So it is a bond issue. This is single-handedly what we've been telling people, the largest investment in this community's fire department.
So when we talk about a bond issue, tell us a little bit about what needs to be done. What's the percentage you got to have to pass this bond issue? This is not a simple majority, is it?
No, it's not just a simple majority. It's just over 57%. I think that comes out, was it 5/8?
5/8
is what it comes out to. So it'll be for $3.5 million, and it's going to address 3 critical priorities that the fire department has.
Okay, so let's address those 3 critical priorities. First off, number 1.
So we've got 11 trucks on the fire department, and 6 of them are older than 25 years old. 25 years old is what the NFPA, which is a standards organization, says fire trucks should be replaced after.
For 2 reasons. Number 1, obviously they've been used quite a bit, but also the access to parts and replacement things and things of that nature, and just being outdated and wore out.
Yeah, a lot of these trucks, this isn't like, your 20-year-old beater car that you drive back and forth to work every day. These trucks, the parts on them, they're unique to them. They're in short supply because everybody's needing parts for the trucks. That's just one problem.
Specialty parts are hard to find, aren't they?
Exactly.
Yeah, yes. Especially for a fire truck, because there's an awful lot of working parts on there, isn't there?
There absolutely is.
So we talk about, you and I talked a little bit before we came on the air, a brand new fire truck. We're looking at what COVID did to this, and then obviously inflation, but I remember maybe about 5 years ago, I think it was 2019, fire department was looking at a new fire truck for $500,000. It was a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, double it now. 5 years later, you're looking at least $1 million.
Oh, yeah.
And if you wanted to order a new fire truck, Jeff, when could I expect to get it?
2 to 3 years
2
at
to
a minimum.
3 years.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, but you're going to need that truck not in 2 to 3. Well, you will need it in 2 to 3 years, but you kind of need it now.
Yeah. And we found a company. We've actually put a hold, if you will, on a fire engine. They kind of have these things, kind of like going to a dealership almost, for fire trucks. But that's the only one around here that we've been able to find. So, that's just one truck. We're needing to get 4 more after that.
Right, and we have outlying fire districts as well. Montauk, Lenox, Timber, things of that nature. They're fighting the same battle you guys are too.
100%.
This is not part of that. This is just for Denton County.
Right.
But they're finding the same situation, trying to find parts, trying to find trucks, trying to find equipment.
Yep. Yeah, we're all kind of in this together, and that's where the mutual aid agreements come in. We've really helped each other out a lot this last week, especially with all these fires that we've had going on.
Okay, so this bond issue will be on the municipal election. That's April 8th.
Yep, April 8th.
And this is only for, and we want to make sure we get this out, Denton County Fire Protection District members.
Right.
This is not, if you're living way south in Timber, you're not going to be affected. You're not even going to vote on it.
Exactly. So the fire district covers, it's about 127 square miles of the county. That's the city of Salem, and roughly, 6 to 7 miles in each direction, north, east, south, and west of town. So if you live kind of in that circle, if you will, within 6 miles of town, you can vote on this, most likely.
So let's get a little bit of history. The Denton County Fire Protection District was born in 1983, and it did have a tax issue on it at that time.
Right. So voters voted basically to incorporate the district in 1983. The original tax levy was 30 cents. At some point after that, we're not sure exactly when, but they actually rolled it back to 23 cents, where it's been since then. This is the first time the districts ever came back to voters on an issue like this, asking for any sort of increase whatsoever.
So you're looking at basically 48 years.
Yeah. Yes.
Before they got, because it passed in 83, that tax wouldn't start until next year.
Right.
So they don't start collecting it until usually 6 months after it's done, and then it trickles in because people aren't used to the tax. And it's not just like everybody's waiting there with money to hand you the day it goes into effect.
Right.
All right, so $3.5 million, and what you were mentioning, we have 6 vehicles that really need to be replaced. Yep. So let's assume that the bond issue passes. Let's get the first priority was replacement of equipment.
Yep.
Let's get now to the second priority. What's that?
So the second priority is all of the debt that the department has. It comes out to over $900,000 worth. And that requires yearly payments of a little over $90,000.
Okay.
And that's a pretty big chunk whenever you consider that the department only brings in about $286,000 a year. So a little over 30% of our tax revenue that we collect every year is going towards debt payments. So the department plans to use part of this bond money to completely pay off the department's debt.
So eliminate the debt and the interest payments that go with it.
Exactly.
So which will save the district
and that's
money.
That's going to save, I don't have the numbers on me, but it's going to save the taxpayer several $100,000 just in interest payments.
Okay, so we do that. We get all the debt taken away from the fire district. What is priority number 3?
Priority 3 is the equipment that the firefighters have, the gear, tools. We've actually got a few firefighters right now that have expired gear. A lot of people don't know that the gear that the guys wear, it expires after 10 to 15 years. It just depends. Coats, pants, and helmets, those expire after 10 years. The air packs, those are 15 years. And it costs us about $12,000 a firefighter to fully equip them.
So you're talking, and now that's just on the firefighter itself, but you got hoses,
Right.
You've got other equipment, as you mentioned. There's all kinds of equipment that these guys have, the radios and everything else that need to be done. That all costs money too. Mm-hmm. Now let's talk a little bit about it, and I know this is the bond issue will help cover this, but a lot of times the changing in the equipment is forced on the fire district by state or federal regulations, correct?
Yes. So there is more studies coming out as far as gear goes. Firefighters are exposed to all these carcinogens whenever they go to fires. Firefighters are twice as likely as the general public for cancer risk, neurological diseases like Parkinson's, brain cancer, things of the sort. So that's why it's so important that we get this gear switched out. It's just one of those things. It's
not to mention the hazardous conditions there are in going into a burning building.
Right. Absolutely.
It's incredibly, to me, it's insane to go into a building. But if there's somebody in there, a firefighter is going to make his way in, and aren't they?
Right. Oh, absolutely. And that's one thing that our district prides itself on, is that is the standard that we train our firefighters to, is that they will go into a burning building and rescue you if they need to. So it's really a great value for the taxpayers, we feel like. It's basically big city level service.
Sure.
And these guys are doing it for next to nothing.
Let's talk a little bit about that training. Training's not free either.
No, it's not.
No. And you have some certified guys. Some guys are working toward that. But do you have, I think, 9 certified guys?
So we've got 9 firefighters that are completely certified through the state, and that's in Firefighter 1 and 2 and hazardous materials. Everybody else, I think it was 16 is what it comes out to, is they're trained to a minimum standard.
Okay.
And that's to perform, like we were talking about, the interior firefighting, search and rescue, things of that sort.
There's supplemental help to the 9 guys right now.
Yeah.
But as they learn and get certified themselves, then they move up. How long does it take to become certified? I mean, there's a lot of hours that they got to put in training, correct?
Yeah, so state certification, that's about 1,000 hours in training. And that will take, I think the last time we did a Fire 1 and 2 classes when I went through it, and that was almost 10 years ago, it seems like. It took us between, I'd say, 9 months to do from start to finish. It's quite the commitment that if guys decide to go through that, that's a lot of time.
Right. And these guys we mentioned are volunteers.
Yes.
And they get out there and first off, they need to have the equipment working. They need to be able to know that it's going to work and have to have confidence in the equipment. Right now, we have some equipment that needs more than a Band-Aid.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's what it's getting right now,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, like we've noticed, especially this last week, running 2-3 brush fires a day. We've had pumps go out of service. That command unit that we were talking about, it's out of service still. That's the only one the district has as far as command stuff type goes, and it has the pack refill on it too, so the guys can refill their air packs on the scene. And so we don't have that capability now.
Well, we're talking to Jeff Stokes. This is a paid political ad on Prop Fire, and we want to let people know that obviously our Denton County Fire Protection District, as good a job as they do, some of the equipment has gotten to be antiquated and really need you to take a look at this issue. I'm not going to tell you how to vote, but you do need to look into it and think how you would like somebody to respond to your house if there was a fire in your yard with antiquated equipment that may or may not work at this time. And I know you guys do the best job you can in putting it together, but Jeff, you might want to explain the strain this equipment goes into. It's not like you're driving up every single time on a nice concrete block waiting for you with the water right there, just ready to go. That happens probably once out of 100 times, right?
Right. Yeah, especially whenever you're looking at fires in the county, you have to shuttle water back and forth from the town to the fire that you're at. There's the elements, too. Fires don't always happen when it's sunny and 75 degrees outside.
What?
As we found out with that wildfire that we had over the weekend, there was tornado warnings going out. And the guys are out there in the woods trying to put this fire out. So it's quite the unique challenge that we find ourselves in.
And when we talk about these guys that are doing this, they're putting their lives on the line to save your property. This isn't, it's just that, okay, well, my outhouse is burning down. Okay, yeah, they're not gonna be able to do too much with that by the time they get there. That outhouse is probably going to be toasted, or at least damaged. But your house, your main abode, you do not want to lose everything in there. And we see people lose it with a tornado.
Right.
And that happens instantly. A fire, you many times watch it, and I think that might even be worse because you're actually watching your life, or a big part of your life, burn up right in front of you.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty terrifying for the general public. And of course, we can't save the structure every time, But, I've personally been involved in many situations where the firefighter is able to save some valuables from the home. Kids' Christmas presents,
sure.
a wife's wedding dress, what have you. So they're able to go in there while it's on fire and at least get some stuff out.
Those precious memories that people
Absolutely.
have. Let me ask you a little bit about ISO, okay? Because
Yes.
we know that ISO ratings, many insurance companies use them. Some do not. Some do not, but many do.
Right.
The ISO rating in Dent County is what?
So in town and within 5 miles of town, it is a 5.
Okay.
Outside of that, it increases to a 9.
Okay, so if the higher it gets, is the worse it is, right?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Exactly.
So if we would get this new equipment, our ISO rating could actually go down
Exactly.
and save you money.
Yeah, and it'll save homeowners money on their insurance premiums. Those have been going up astronomically.
We all know
over
that.
the last few years. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this would help at least a little bit in the direction you want your premium to go.
Okay, very good. So again, this is a bond issue.
Right.
The bond issue will go until the $3.5 million is paid off.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, it'll be up to the public if they want to renew that bond issue for
Yep.
another $3.5 million,
Mm-hmm.
or that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, so it'll take at most 20 years to pay these bonds off. So, at most you can see this issue reappear on the ballot in 20 years. Realistically, I think the department's looking at about 15 years to have
Sure.
those.
Now, the
bonds
nice
paid
thing,
off.
if you invest locally, and investors will get, local people will get a chance
Yep.
to invest first. No federal tax, no state tax on the
Right.
interest that you receive back on your bond.
Exactly. So banks, local investors, they'll get first dibs
Right.
on these bonds basically, and the interest rates on the bonds is between 4 and 5%, and that'll be tax free, like you mentioned, between state and federal.
So if you had, say, a 30% tax rate and you got 5% back, that's like 6.5
Yeah.
and taxable. But you're
Right.
going to get the 5, and it's not taxed
Yep.
by either the state or the federal government. So no even reporting it on your tax return. It's like free money.
Yeah.
But you did have to invest money in there to help out on the bond issue. Okay, very good. All right. So I know we're getting down to the nitty gritty. Now I know a lot of people may have questions about what we're talking about. They get answers in a couple of different ways. Number
Yep.
one, you've got a meeting coming up here very shortly.
Yeah, so we've got a meeting coming up on Monday, actually next week. It's a town hall meeting with LJ Hart. That's the bond company.
Okay.
That'll be at the Salem Community Center.
Is that
The old-
Courtney
the
going to
old
be
Army.
there?
Yep.
Okay.
Courtney will be there. Tom as well, I believe. We'll also have Shannon Vankirk with the county collector's office. She'll be there to kind of help explain to people tax impact and things of the
Very
sort.
good. And then an open house at the firehouse going to be
That-
happening April 3rd.
April 3rd. That'll be our second one. We had a pretty good turnout with the first one, so we decided to have a second one closer to the election to give folks that didn't have a time to come to the first one, they can hopefully come to the second one and kind of see the situation the department's in.
Very good. Now, if somebody has a question or two, they can contact the Dent County Fire Protection District, can they not?
Yes, so they've got a couple avenues. They can contact us on Facebook, or they can call the fire station at 729-3250. Kind of the downside with calling is volunteer department, like we mentioned, so most likely someone won't answer. Just make sure to leave a name and number,
Sure.
and we'll get back to you on that.
Okay, well, and the key is here, there are a couple avenues. We still have time. If you see a firefighter out, or you run across Chief Floyd, or see Jeff, or see Leanne, or any of the board members, or Mike Godey,
Yep.
you can ask them directly, and they will
Yep.
tell you and give you all the information that you need. But if you want to get more in-depth to find out how it would affect your taxes and things of that nature, you can contact the Dent County Collector's Office and talk
Yeah.
with Shannon directly, correct?
Oh, absolutely. I've talked to Shannon a couple of times, and she's had some people call up there, and so we really encourage people, don't believe everything you see on social media. It's, there's a lot of misinformation out there. Call Shannon at the county collector's office and get your number.
Again, this is a bond issue. It's called Prop Fire. And please vote on April 8th. Now, there is absentee voting going on right now that is excused. So we're kind of done with our interview. And now we're back into the news part of it. But beginning on the 25th of March, no excuse absentee voting will occur. And so people have been voting a little bit more now ahead of time. So if you are planning on voting, remember it's Prop Fire. and I'm gonna stretch this a little bit, but I'm gonna let you read what the ballot language is. So when you see this, you're gonna know what prop fire is. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, so the ballot language is going to say exactly this. Shall the Board of Directors of the Dent County Fire Protection District, Missouri, issue general obligation bonds in the amount of $3,500,000 for the purpose of acquiring and equipping fire trucks, purchasing fire protection and firefighting apparatus, auxiliary equipment, and emergency medical equipment for first responders, retiring existing lease financings, and to the extent funds are available, repairing the existing fire station. Yes or no?
Yes or no. All right, very good. Again, this only affects the people that live in the Dent County Fire Protection District. If you're in Timber or Anna or Montauk, you're not going to have this on your ballot if you even have a ballot. There are not many school elections this year. So a lot of people aren't even getting one. So, again, please do vote, and your vote is very much appreciated, and we want you to have the right to voice your vote, and that's how you speak.
Yep.
But again, it takes a 5/8 majority to get this passed, and that's a little bit harder than a simple majority. So
it is.
So we need everybody to get out and vote, and please do so, and find out. But before you go vote, please do this. And I'm just expressing this on any election, so this is not dealing with just prop fire. Get all the information. Do your homework. Research it. Please ask the questions you need to ask. Go to the open houses. Go to the meetings. Whatever you need to do to be educated before you cast your vote. And then also take into consideration what that fire protection district means in Dent County. Please take all that into consideration before you cast your vote. Sir, I know we're going to be doing this again, I believe, April 4th.
I think so.
Okay, very good. And we'll touch up on a few things from the open house and also from the get-together with L.J. Hart and stuff. That's going to be coming up Monday, you said, at the Community Center at the Armory?
Yep, and that is from 6 to 8.
6 to 8. So if you got any questions, it's a great time to get them asked. How it's going to affect your taxes. Shannon's going to be there. Yep. L.J. Hart will be there. They'll tell you how this all works, how you can even buy a bond. You want to be a part of the investment into the fire district and helping them move forward if the issue should pass.
Yep.
Jeff, thank you very much for your time. Really do appreciate it.
Yep.
And again, this has been a paid political ad for the Dent County Fire Protection District bond issue called Prop Fire with Jeff Stokes. And we really appreciate you coming in and spending the time with us. You are a board member, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so you kind of have the inside scoop on what's going on. But again, I want to thank Jeff and all the firefighters and all the first responders. We had a lot of people here working last Friday. It's not going to be better today. It's going to get really windy. It's already really windy.
Yeah, don't be burning. We're in a red flag warning again today.
Don't even think about burning outside. It's just crazy. And even though they're talking about snow by tomorrow morning.
It's not going to change anything.
That's not.
Don't even think about burning.
Please don't. There's still a lot of fuel down there. Matter of fact, we had gone away, and I know we're no longer part of the interview, but we had gone to St. Genevieve last weekend, and we had seen some areas that had the controlled burns, the ones that were done right, okay?
Yes.
By Conservation and Forest Service, and there's no fuel on the ground at all, any. And I'm thinking, great, wouldn't that have been nice if that had been up there north when that'd been the perfect fire line. You'd have had it put out in no time. But unfortunately, with all the leaves that come down, the limbs, the branches, the twigs, and then debris that blows around. People don't even know the paper blows around out there from people's houses or from people throwing it out, littering.
Yep.
And once that catches on fire, that's a problem. But also one of the things that people don't understand when they throw their tires and things out there is a firefighter has to get out there and you got that tire. That stuff doesn't go out quickly.
No.
That's an oil-based fire, and that becomes even a whole different situation, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's a whole different ball of wax. And especially, you get these 50, 60 mile an hour winds that they're fighting. There's just embers that blow for hundreds of yards.
Right.
And it was jumping county roads. This county road's 20 feet wide, and it's jumping it like it's nothing.
We've all seen leaves fly. Come on, we all have seen that.
Yep.
Just think if that leaf had a flame on it, and it's blowing into your yard.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and that's what it's doing, 25, 35, 45, 50 feet, and it's just carrying that fire with it. So
I talked to Chief Floyd the other day. He's been doing this for over 30 years, and he said he's never seen a fire move like that.
No, I can believe it. And right now during spring is probably the driest time we have. February we had some nice rains and some snow. That was great.
Yeah.
But now the winds dry everything out, and you've got an issue.
Yeah.
So anyway, we really do appreciate you coming in, Jeff, spending some time with us. And we'll be doing it again on April 4th at 8:30 right here on KSMO, AM 1340, FM 95.7. Excuse me. And also streaming at KSMOradio.com, KSMO Stream Facebook, and KSMO YouTube. We do appreciate our entire Dane County Fire Protection District Board. They do a tremendous job. And we really thank you for coming in, representing them today, and talking about prop fire.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Jeff. Keep it here. KSMO AP News is coming up shortly on 1340 AM and 95.7. We appreciate you joining us.